Hey y'all, good morning, good morning. Happy Friday. Yes, it is Friday. This morning we're going to be talking about the reasons why you are not getting promoted and how to fix it. So if this is your first time here, my name is Alicia and I help leaders lead their careers. I'm really happy to talk about this topic because I know that as we move towards the very end of the year, I think people are in this phase where they want to reflect and really think about what's next. And for a lot of people, what's next? Oh, this is my camera. And for a lot of people, what's next is them wanting to advance. Hold on, y'all, 1 second. Let me not say nothing. I think it's right. And so for a lot of people, what's next for them is being able to advance in the role that they are in. So I really want to be able to talk with you, especially if you've been one, you have been trying to advance in your role and it kind of seems like you are hitting a brick wall. This is definitely the live stream for you. So before I get started again, don't be rude now. Go ahead and say good morning. Because I definitely want to know, hey, Miss Karen, good morning, good morning. I want to know who I am speaking to. And if you are in the process of wanting to advance in the role that you have now, go ahead and drop a 1 for me. I definitely want to see who I am talking to this morning. Because, when you're thinking about being promoted, it is like, hey, Joy, yes. So when you're thinking about being promoted, right? I know that it can seem like, oh, child, this is a lot, or it can start seeming like it's almost like a game, right? But I want to be able to share with you this morning 3 reasons why. And I do have more down, but I think that I will just do 3. These are the top 3 that I see that people tend to struggle with. And I want to be able to, for one, I want to allow you to kind of get a little bit clearer because some people have an idea as to why it's a struggle, but then some people, they kind of, they really don't know, right? And I talked about earlier on my live stream Tuesday, I talked about how it really is going to take more than just hard work, right? And if you have not seen that live stream yet, please do. It should still be up. But I talked about how, hard work is not enough to advance. Now, I'm not saying that it's not that you don't need to work hard, most definitely, but it's not the only thing. And so I want to be able, for one, to share a little bit about what I talked about on Tuesday. And I talked about how you have to be visible, okay? And so this morning, I want to be able to even deep dive a little bit more into that and go a little bit more into that because it's not just about you being seen, it's about you being strategic with how you are being seen at work. And also how your results and the successes that you are that you bring forth, how are those seen as well? So, we're talking about, and you guys see me looking down. I do have notes, and then I'm on TikTok, Facebook, YouTube. I'm everywhere. So, when you're talking about being able to be visible at work, it's not about just being seen at work. It's about you also have to be sure that you're being seen by the right people, right? And I think it's really important that as we talk about this, when it comes to you being seen at work or you even, hey, y'all, good morning, you even being able to highlight, right, those skills that you have and those results. For some people, them being visible is something that they really have to work at, meaning it doesn't just come, right? Because especially if you're one that you've been taught, don't shine too much, meaning don't draw too many eyes on you, or if you one that you feel more comfortable with you having to blend in, if you sometimes struggle with being able to even talk about your accomplishments or your successes, or if you're one that you feel like, well, if I show up too much, it may give off the wrong vibe, right? And so when it comes to you being seen and you being able to get the exposure, not just that you want, but that you need to advance, you have to be strategic about that, right? And one of the things that I want to talk about is that it's about knowing how to showcase those achievements and how and who actually needs to see them. So I want to ask this question. If you think that you struggle with being visible at work, if you do not think that your work or what you do, right, is highlighted enough, or they don't know the impact that you make to the full extent as they should, because I think this is really important, because this could be that glass ceiling as to why you are not being able to see the advancement in your role, in your growth, or your pay, because they simply just don't know, right? And they can know to a certain extent that you do a good job, but they don't know to the level of expertise that that job is done in, right? Because at the end of the day, they just like, hey, we just need these results, right? And so sometimes we can kind of assume that they know not just what we do, right? But when you're talking about having that unique value prop, for the most part, skills itself or skill by itself is not anything special. When I say special, meaning that you just having a skill is not what allows you to stand out, right? You have to be able to know what is your unique value prop, meaning what is it that you do, or how is it that you do what you do, the way that you do, that brings forth the results that you do, right? And this is really important because, everybody is trying to think like, how is it that I stand out? Well, for one, you have to be able to know, okay, I know that if you line me and 5 other people up with the exact same skill set, right? What is it about me that's going to allow me to stand out? That is your unique value prop. And sometimes when you are even thinking about what that is, because the people that I talk to a lot, of even the clients that I work with, you have a lot of experience. And sometimes when you have so much experience, you can get lost in all of that, right? You can get to the mindset to where you just bring forth, right? You just bring forth great results, but you haven't really gotten clear, for one, what is that level of expertise that you have, and what is it that allows you to stand out the way that you do? And I talked about earlier this week how when you are thinking about that, a lot of times it does rest in your strengths, right? And so, for instance, when you are thinking about, trying to pop up an example, when you are thinking about an example, let's say you are a director of human resources, right? Now, we know that that role in itself is not anything special, meaning that, again, you can have 5 people with the same job name, right? But when you think about yourself and you think about how you use your skills and the results that you bring forth, start thinking, for one, what kind of environments that you may excel in that other people don't, right? You could do very, very, very well and maybe fast paced, right? You find yourself that being in very high tense environments don't really stress you out as some. Now, hold on, just stay right there. I'm not done with this part, right? Now, think about even how you deal with your team, or even the results that you bring forth in your space. Think about what is it about that result that allows it to be unique. Unique does not mean that this is something that is the first time that is done. No, unique means when it comes about you, right? Also, think about what is the kind of people that you work really, really well with. For instance, if you are somebody that knows how to deal with like multicultural teams, right? Everybody don't know how to engage with a team like that. A lot of people don't know how to engage with a team that has a very diverse background, has a very diverse skill set, right? Many people don't know how to do that. Right. So again, it's not just the result that you bring forth, but what is it about you that allows you to bring forth that result in such a great way in the environment that you are in? And also, are you one that you can do it in a way to where it saves time? It saves cost, right? Start thinking about that, because that is where your unique value prop is, and that those are the things that you need to highlight. So let's say at work, you and your team just led a very successful, right? You guys, with this huge thing you got to do, you guys just it went well, right? It exceeded expectations. Now sit down and start thinking about that. And in the same breath, y'all, I think it's important to celebrate those wins. Sometimes you can be so in the routine, right, of just hitting goal, right? You exceed expectations, but you're not giving yourself a chance to really own the win, right? You're not allowing yourself to really understand that you brought forth that win. And so after you experience wins at work, sit down and really think about it. What was it about this win that allowed it to even be a win? And is there anything that you did, right? Was there anything that may not have been seen on the front end that people need to actually know about? Now, when we're talking about you being able to highlight your accomplishments, right? I'm not saying stand on the desk and shout them, right? But whenever you are having to meet with your team, right? Or whenever you are in environments where they are having to share goals and things of that sort, that's the time where you want to be able to share, again, not just off the rip, all you want to do is just brag, brag, brag. No, but you want to be able to align what it is that you did with their goals, right? And I think a really great way to also do that is to ask for feedback, right? That is the way that you are able to share your accomplishments and your results in a way to where it does not come off as if you are trying to brag. I know that's a struggle for people, but that's a whole other live stream because that shouldn't even be a struggle for you, right? So when you're thinking about being able to highlight your accomplishments, I think a way that you can do that is by asking for feedback, right? Being able to share what happened, what was the result of that, and then being able to even ask the people around you, guys, do you think that there was anything with that result that we can lean more towards, right? And so it's just about you being able to get into a place and you realize that if I don't own my results, if I don't own my successes, they will be lost, right? When I say lost, meaning they will be pushed away, and you find yourself not being able to get the rewards off of these successes because nobody knows about them, right? And if this is something that you struggle with, not just on your job, I can guarantee this is also probably maybe issues that you face in your overall life, right? Hold on. If you're one that you fear, for one, I don't want to be too seen, right? Or if you're one like, I don't want to seem like I'm trying to just brag on me, you probably experience that in other areas of your life. And what tends to happen is that when you don't share what it is that you do, right? And since you don't share what it is that you do, you cannot reap anything from that. And so what happens is you'll find yourself starting to feel like I don't get the respect, right? Or I'm not valued the way that I should be. And so it's almost like you are having to work against the thing that you want. And you start feeling like, what is the point of me having to even do all this? Well, the problem is that you want to be valued for something that people don't even know about. Okay. And especially if you're one that you put your heart into everything that you do, that can be hard too, because again, you do everything, you exceed expectations. And even though you may not say it out loud, you still want to receive something from that. So when you do not receive something from that, you, for one, it can cause you to not know. Oh, my camera is messing up. It can cause you, for one, to not know the true value that you bring forth, right? And it can cause you to not grow in your career because you don't know the value that you have. And so I don't want you guys to keep thinking that the way to move up is just to work hard. I had a post I did earlier this week, and I said that silence is not a career strategy. It's just not. You being silent, you not being able to get the eyes on you that should be on you, that is not a strategy. And this is why a lot of times we will see people that we work with and they are able to advance and they don't have half of a lick of experience that you do. It's not because they have more experience, they're just more visible, right? They are seen more. Right. And so when you think about your own expertise and your skill set, start understanding that me being able to highlight and showcase what I do is not something that I can take lightly. Because again, if you do not highlight your accomplishments and your successes and your results, they will get lost. Right. And when they are lost, or when you feel like they have just been tossed aside, then it'll almost make you doubt everything. Okay. You almost start feeling like, well, is everybody else around me more than me? No. Right. In most cases, it's because they're simply just more visible. Okay. So what I want you guys to start thinking about in the work that you do now, what are some things that you're able to do, right, to start to get the eyes on you that you need? In a great way that you can do this is really start to build relationships with the people that you work with, right? Because you being able to engage and being able to connect with the people that you work with can allow you to start having the conversations that you need, which can give you the opportunities to express and share and highlight what it is that you do, right? And so it can make people feel awkward when it's time to share their accomplishments and successes. It's because the only time that they are really engaging with people is around that time. When you get into the habit of where you engage and you talk to the people in your space, it won't feel as such a chore. The next thing I want to talk about is you being able to prioritize your development. Okay, like I said before, I attract people that are very seasoned, right? You have a skill set, you have a level of expertise, but sometimes you can find yourself being stuck in what you have done, right? And so you have a desire to grow and to advance, but you're not thinking about what are those gaps that need to be filled. And also, that happens because sometimes you are just too busy, right? Meaning that you're not making time to master your craft. You don't make time to lean in to those skill gaps or even to identify what those skill gaps are. And so when that happens, right? When you are not able to lean in more and get clear on those skill gaps, that's where that brick wall comes into play, right? Because you're not allowing yourself time to really get clear on, okay, is the way that I bring forth the results and my successes, is there a way that I need to have those tweaks in the time that we are in now, right? When you look at your skills and you look at where you really want to be, what's going to allow you to feel more sure? What's going to allow you to not have to battle with imposter syndrome, right? Is that you are always in a place as to where you are having to fill gaps. When I'm talking about you having to fill gaps, I'm not saying that this is something that you have to work on every single day, but you make it a routine of yours, right? To pour into yourself, right? Because times around us, they are changing, right? When you look in your field, when you are in your space, things are changing. And what can be a hidden wall for a lot of people, especially you guys that have been at your job for a really long time, you don't understand that your skills become conformed or almost made for who you work for, meaning that you're not experiencing any growth outside of that role, right? Because that's all that you lean into. But when you're thinking about you and your skills, now this can both be hard skills and soft skills, but of course, I think that the more that you advance in your field, is definitely more about soft skills. But when you are in your role for a really long time, you have to know that things in your field and your space are changing, right? But when you have just conformed your skills to who you work for, you can really find yourself in a place to where you're not able to keep up with the certain trends, right? Now, I'm not saying that this means that that you have to go find a new job. Now, it's different. If the job that you're in now is not able to meet your expectations and there is no growth there, then you should start to look for something else. But I'm talking about if you enjoy the work that you do right there, and if there's no real issues there, start seeing, okay, has my expertise grown, right? Because you can still stay in a role and still grow your skill set. That can come from you being able to expose yourself to not the same task every day, right? But also it does take a level of you having to just set aside time to even see what are those gaps there. Now, I'm talking about having a busy schedule. I talked about this earlier this week, and I was talking about how, I won't act like life don't be life in sometimes, right? Especially when you have kids, when you have things going on. But it's you having to identify what you do now is going to set you up for what you want down the road, right? And we are in a space now, y'all. You guys know that this year has been a tough year for a lot of people, right? And what has held back a lot of people and what has them feeling like this wall is there, that they don't know how to use their skills in more than just one way. Or they are spending their time trying to learn skills that in the next 2, 3, 4 years probably won't even be a need. So even when you're talking about you having to fill these gaps and grow, think about what if you are already in the mode of that. Be ensured that you're spending your time on the right thing, right? These goals that you have, ask yourself, these are the goals that I have, right? What are the gaps that I need to fill? Because you don't want to waste your time trying to fill gaps that don't mean nothing, right? If you are already, right, you are already in a lead role. You out of all people need to be building up your people skills. Everybody is scared of this new tech wave, and everybody's scared of this new software, and they're scared that it's going to take people's jobs. And AI cannot take away leadership. It can't do that, right? This thing does not have soft skills. It does not have the power to engage with people on a level that can inspire them or influence them or to even drive them towards a certain goal. It can't do that, right? So if you're thinking about what are the skills that you really need to lean into, one of them is leadership, because that is a human component that AI can't take from nobody, right? So if you're thinking about what is the next gap that needs to be filled, think about what are those people skills in me that I'm lacking, right? What are those soft skills that's not allowing me to thrive, right, in the roles that I want? When you want to advance, right, and you know that you have the experience and the expertise, right, you know it, and they still say, we just don't see you as a good fit for this role, or not yet. Now, sometimes it could be a level of bias. I won't even act like that doesn't exist, because it does, right? But a lot of times, too, is simply because your soft skills are not where they need, right? Not knowing how to clearly share the ideas that you have, not knowing how to engage with the people that you work with, right? Not knowing how to find yourself in very tense environments and still maintain yourself. Not one that gets so emotionally involved in things that it causes you to respond in ways that you shouldn't. Like, all of that stuff is soft skills. So when you find yourself trying to advance and you keep being told a no, and you know for a fact that you have the skill set and the expertise, more times than not, it's those soft skills. It's you not knowing how to deal with people, especially if you're wanting to get in those lead roles, right? Now, I'm not saying that every lead role that you get into that you will have to, it's not always a team aspect involved, but right? But you still know how you have to know how to be able to deal with people, and deal with people that don't think like you, that don't look like you, right? Who will not agree with everything that you say, that will not always validate every idea. You have to be able to know how to deal with people like that. You have to be able to know how to simply delegate and get over this need of control and this need of having to have your hands in everything, because that's the only way that you feel valuable. You got to be able to remove yourself from that. Even the clients that I work with, right? This is something I say all the time. You can only go as far as you grow. And you get to a point in your career to where, again, the expertise is there. The experience that you have, that's already been said. That's already done, right? But the issue is not that. The issue is the shell which your expertise lies in, and that's your soft skills, right? That's you being able to know how to even be in rooms, right? You having to know how to get buy-in from the people that you work with. You having to know how to influence the people that you work with something other than your title. Because we've all worked with people that thought that just because they had a certain title, that they were owed a level of respect, or they automatically assumed that everybody would just be on their side because of a job title. But you got to be able to know how to influence the people that you work with outside of a job title, right? Being able to get people on your side, right? And that does take a level of, one, for sure, self-awareness, right? That takes you having to be able to, receive feedback, even feedback that you might not even like or even think is right. And when I say feedback, I'm just saying whenever you have to hear something about either the way that you do something, or maybe something that a gap that needs to be filled, but you have to be able to put yourself in a place, again, to handle these things with grace. Because if they see that you can't lead yourself, how would you expect them to trust that you can lead anything else? And that is where that self leadership comes into play, right? Because they see how well you lead yourself. They see how well you use your time. They see how well, right, you use the people and the resources around you. They see all of that. And so you're really, and this is the time, like when you know that you want to advance in your role. It doesn't start when you go and find out. It starts the moment you know that you want to advance. You start to show them, right? You already in that role. It's not about you having to wait and see if they think that, this role is a good fit for you. It's about you already putting yourself in a place, right, to where you're already showing up as if you already had that job. But you can't do that, for one, if you're waiting on them to validate that for you. You have to know. And sometimes you got to be honest with yourself and say, am I really ready for something like this? Because what you don't want to do is you don't want to be so zealous for something that you're not thinking about what is it really going to take from me. And am I even in a position that I can even give that at this time? Again, having a level of self-awareness to where you can pause on a goal to get yourself in a place to reach the goal, because you have a lot of people that have a whole lot of dreams and goals that they want to do. They're not thinking about, okay, what is it or who is it that I need to be, not just to reach the goal, but to be successful in it, right? Because the worst thing you want to do is throw yourself into something, right, that you did not prepare yourself for. And when it doesn't go the way that you felt like it should, you start feeling like there was something wrong with you. There was nothing wrong with you. It just wasn't time. And it takes a level of being self-aware and a level of being sure in yourself to admit that if it's not time, that's okay. And that not yet, that does not mean a no. It just means not yet. You having to wait on something. Now, when I say wait on something, I'm not saying just wait and just sit there and as time go by, right? You just sit there and wait and wait. No, you're waiting, meaning that you're doing what you need to do. So when you reach that next position, you're able to feel good about it. You are able to show up and thrive in your expertise as you know that you can and as you have always done. Now, I'm not saying to get stuck in the trap of everything has to be perfect, everything has to be exactly right. I'm not saying that. Right. But what I am saying is ask yourself this next role that I want. Right? Am I already on the path of being what I need to be? Or are you thinking this is something that is just going to fall on you? But it is going to take a level of you having to set aside time, having to a lot of us look in the mirror and see, okay, have I even validated who I am before I get into this role? Because that's a big thing too. Because a job title and a nice check is not going to make you feel confident about yourself. You have to already be that. You have to already feel that, right? I work with clients that are big, nice job titles, right? Have to stand in front of their teams and they're insecure because they thought that once I reached this job title, right, I'll be good. But they wasn't doing the self-work to validate themselves before they got that job title, right? And so now anytime anything at work happens, now anytime any kind of mistake happens, right, it destroys them. When I say destroy them, meaning like now they feel like they have to start over from scratch every time something doesn't go the way that they feel like it should have. And it can cause you to be super hard on yourself. It can cause you to not give yourself the grace and the space to learn something new because you're feeling like the only way that I can prove that I was a right fit for this position is if I don't make any mistakes. I don't know what they do that at. Other than you having to realize, right, that anytime you pursue anything new, there is going to be a level of you having to grow into it, meaning like you have to learn it. But for those my high achievers, when you are in a position to where you have to walk in something that's new, you don't always handle that the best way because to you, success means I don't make mistakes. Success means I get everything right. Success means that I excel at everything on the first try. And you cheat yourself out of learning something. When I say cheat yourself, because even the process of having to learn something in itself is you having to a lot of times step outside of yourself. Also, you having to ask for help, which my high achievers and my high performers, my friends, my loves, you guys struggle with that, having to ask for help because you feel like if you have to ask for help, that means that you failed, and that's not the case, right? So, you got to be able to put yourself in a position to where you understand whatever this new phase is for me, right? Whatever this next level of my career looks like is going to take something from me that I may not have had to give. When I say that, I mean skills. I mean the way that you show up at work, the way that you even talk about your expertise it's going to require something from you. And it could be something new. And that's why we have to remember what once worked may not always work. And just because something once worked for you and you now have to make a shift, it doesn't mean that you were wrong the whole time. It just simply means that this thing just don't work. It just simply means now it's time to move up to a level of excellence, right? And excuse me, and even when I talk about excellence, right? Again, it does not mean perfect, meaning that you don't make mistakes, right? The excellence mean it's just time now that I lean more into my expertise in my craft. Now it's time to go to a different level of mastery. And that should make you feel good when you can start to go through levels in your expertise, because that has showed you that you have stuck with something long enough to master it. Now, I'm not saying if you change careers because you can still change careers and you still have a level of, there is still a craft there. You still have a special expertise. But when you're able to stick with something long enough to where you want to lean more into it, that's a great thing, right? Because it's about you having to, one, see how far your expertise it will stretch. That's why a lot of people are struggling in the current job market. They are struggling because they don't want to adapt. And that actually goes into my next point, is that you're going to have to reshape yourself, refine, rebrand, right? You're going to have to think about your career since COVID. This pandemic shifted everything, right? And if you're thinking that you can operate in your career the same way that you did before March 2020, you in for a rude awakening, or you will be underpaid, right? Or you'll find yourself in positions that you are overqualified for because you don't want to adapt, right? You don't want to even see how your skills are able to be used in a new way. You're not wanting to see what are new problems that your skills can solve. Because think about it, when they hire you for a job, all they're saying is that we need your skills to come and solve a problem for us. I don't care if you starting off all the way to a C-suite position. Your expertise solves a problem, right? But as the world changes, as things change, the problems that need to be solved, they are going to change. And if you can adapt to that, if you cannot realign your expertise in your craft to solve the problems that need to be solved right now, you will be left behind, and you will be left behind in roles that you are being underpaid in, because the problems that you currently solve don't hold the value that they once did. And when I say that, I mean hold the value that you may want, because you may want, hold on, don't leave me hanging out, okay? Now, and when I say value, what I'm saying is that if you want to make an extra 30K, an extra 40, 50, 60K, right? Start to yourself, are the problems I'm even solving is even worth that? It may have once did, but what's happening now in the current market? Right? You got to be able to stay on top of these things and say, hey, I may have to make a shift, and that's okay. I don't take nothing from you. Now, if you want to make more money, right, you may now have to think about what are different problems or more high value problems that I can solve with my skills. But that's going to take you being in a place to where you know them, right? to where you can, because we are in a time like, my dad, I was talking to him. My dad is 50, right? And so, my dad, he's always had jobs, and he said that for like 10, 15, whatever years. And so I think like right when COVID happened, he had lost his job. I think he'd been there for like probably like 12, 15 years, right? And so he went a while without having a job. It was a struggle. And so he ended up finding another job. And guess what? He had that job for a year and a half. And guess what? He got laid off. Right. So now he's back again looking for another job. And, I talk to my dad all the time. I'm like, you have to be able to look your experience in different ways. Right. And you guys be praying for my dad because he had some really awesome job interviews this week that's been going really well. But anyway, so he had to, it's been a struggle for him. He's like, Alicia, I've never struggled with being able to find a job like this, right? And even the fact when he had the other job, when he was there for like a year and a half, he was like, I'm getting laid off. Like he's never worked a job that short term before. And I'm like, Dad, you're going to have to be able to put yourself in a place to where you start seeing your expertise. So I sat down with my dad and I started showing him like, other problems that he can solve with his skill set. It was so empowering to him because he didn't feel stuck anymore, right? He didn't feel like, oh, I only have to be able to land this kind of job, right? So if you're not able to shift and able to see what new problems have to be solved, my friends and my loves, you're going to be left behind. And this and how you're able to make this shift. And this is the mindset that everybody should have. Stop for one, don't just see your success in the job that you have. You got to realize your skills, your strengths, your results, your successes, all of that, right? They are yours. They do not belong to who you work for. And you can take them anywhere you go. They are not yours. And this is why sometimes it could be so hard for people to like leave their role because they're like, I've done so much great things here. They're thinking, I don't want to start over. They're thinking, I don't want to leave behind what I've done here. But you got to think about when you're going to a new position, you're not starting over. You are building. And now it's time to ask yourself, what is it that my expertise can build in this place? But if you keep seeing your success tied to a certain space, you'll forever feel like if I go anywhere, I'm having to start over. And that's not true, right? There are problems all over the world that your skill set can solve, that your strengths can thrive in, that you know nothing about. There are opportunities and problems, right? Problems that your skills can solve in the pay range that you've been wanting and should have been in a long time ago, but you keep looking for a particular job title, right? Or you're only focused on a certain space. But when you start to really lean into it, say, okay, you know what? And start to embrace the fact that things have changed. Don't allow that to scare you and you start feeling nervous and, I don't know. Get excited that things have changed. Because the reality is that you've already been feeling stale already and stuck. You've already been feeling stuck anyway. So now that things are changing, get excited because now this opens up a world of opportunities that you didn't even think was possible for you, right? And so when you lean into that, right, and it's not only about you having to conform with these new trends and these new ways, but this is also a great way for you to set a new standard. I work with clients that are creative. Right. And sometimes when you are creative and you're like stuck in roles that child is outdated, these people ain't trying to do nothing new, even though they see all the signs that they should do something new. They ain't trying to do nothing new. Right. But this is a time where you can really start having fun with your expertise and start seeing, OK, what are ways that I can even set new standards in my field? Like, do you even think that you can even do that? I really hope you do. Right. Because it's being done every day, right? The question is, why is it that you may think that you can't do that? Or if you desire to do that, right? Why is it that you are allowing yourself to stay in spaces that's not allowing you to grow in your expertise as you know that you want to? Sometimes it's not always that you hate your job. Sometimes you just feel this thing on the inside. You're like, I know that I want to serve more with my skills, right? You know that you want to serve in a different way with your skills. You know that you can bring forth more impact with your expertise. But when you are confined in a job and in a space that's not allowing you to lean into that, that's when you start feeling like, oh, I'm stuck, right? Or I'm not happy. I don't know why I'm not happy, because the job is okay and I get paid well. It's just because that space is not allowing you to reach your full potential as you know that you can and as you should, right? So, got to be able to reshape what you thought your career was post this COVID pandemic. Because, y'all, it's ready to be 2024. The last 4 years been crazy, especially this year. Like, have anybody seen this year as crazy? If this year has been crazy, this year has been a year, right? But I'm gonna say but, right? Because it has allowed me or myself to grow in ways, because you gotta know, I say all the time, like I love structure. I can adapt, but I'm not always one that easily adapts. When I say easy, meaning like the work in here, like I'll adapt on the outside, but sometimes it'd be a real struggle, because to me, change, sometimes I'd be like, why are we changing? Is something broken? I'm like, this is chaos, right? That's just how, right? And so sometimes I can find myself, like, I can feel very safe in structure, safe when there's no change. I just feel safe, like, right? But thank the Lord, He is teaching me that me feeling safe needs to truly be in Him and not how things are around me. But He's also allowing me to see that when there are times when there is a need for a change because things are going good, right? You do have to shift. And sometimes you can start feeling like you need a change in your career, not because you've done anything wrong, not because you hate your job, not because things are just not right. It's because you are on that path of growth, right? And now you just need more room to expand that, to lean into that, to explore that, right? So when you're like starting to feel that nudge for a change, again, this does not mean just run out and find a new job. Could that be the problem? Yes, but it may not be the problem. You just may need to start exploring more opportunities in the space that you are already in. You may need to start having more conversations. You may need to sit down with your boss and say, what is the growth plan for my role, right? If there even is one. A lot of times there's not. And so that lets you know you need to have one, right? And so with that, I don't want you guys to get in the place, I keep saying it, I don't want you to be left, right? But this is definitely a time that we're in to reassess your values. What is important? This is the time to reassess your goals. This is the time for you to think about, okay, what is next for me? What is next? And it's the reason why now I'm doing strategy calls. Like let's not go into 2024 still confused, still unsure, still don't have a plan, still don't know our gaps, still don't know our blind spots, still don't know our strengths. Let's not go into this new year in a place to where we're not sure where our career is going, or you may know where your career should be, but there's no strategy there, right? And so if you want to book a strategy call with me, drop the word strategy, okay? And I will send you the link, because this is the time to start thinking of, okay, 2023, you came with something. It's almost like, hey, I can fall, but I wobbled a little bit, okay? Like, look, like, you like, okay, wasn't playing. Okay. You definitely set a new standard. Okay, cool. Okay, I see you, 2023, right? But I think that it gave people the push that they've been needing, right? It gave a lot of us the drive back that maybe we had lost, right? And so if you guys do want to book a call with me, because this is a great way to work with me one-to-one. It's a great way to get a quick transformation, because sometimes you don't always want to have to join something where it's over a long extended period of time. Sometimes you're like, Alicia, I need a win right now. I just need to get started, right? I just need to see what options I have. Alicia, I just need the play. If you just give me the play, you can run with it, right? And so I think it's really important that, in this time that you guys are thinking about what are your values, what was it in 2023 that you did not have time for that you wanted more time for? What was that? And I think that's really important, because when you are thinking about this, right? Don't go into 2024 doing the same thing and then be mad when you get the same result. Right? But let's start thinking about, what does 2024 need to look like? How does 2024 even need to be starting off? Right? What do I need to leave behind in 2023? What is it that I need to take with me in 2024 so I can make sure that I'm starting off on the right foot, right? And so I do want to do a quick recap. I think that was 3. I talked about the 3 things that's holding you back was you not being strategic about being visible. I talked about you not making time for your development. And then I talked about you not wanting to reshape your career since COVID. And I want to be able to add in one more thing. I won't spend a lot of time on it. Again, if you guys do want to catch the replay of this, go and subscribe to my channel on YouTube. I have a channel on YouTube. You can find me on there at I am Alicia Perkins. I have like almost 100 videos on there. Okay. You can subscribe there, and I do go live on Tuesdays and Thursdays. I know that today is Friday, but life has been lifing this week, so I did not go on live yesterday, and so you see me here today. But I usually go live on Tuesdays and Thursdays, but sometimes I do kind of just hop on live if I'm feeling a topic or something. But I do want to say this. I want to talk about, and this is like a extra tip, I want to talk about being overqualified. And I want to talk about this because, if you're one that you keep being seen as like overqualified for something, for one, look at the position that you are wanting to go for, or the position that you are in, right? Because it could be, for one, it could be a sign that you have more value. You solve a level of problem or a depth of a problem that you are not aware of. Because sometimes not all the time, right? But sometimes when you are told that you are overqualified, it could be that everybody else they see the level of expertise, but you don't see it, right? And so that could be a way to be like, wait a minute, for one. For two, it could be that you need to like rebrand yourself, right? When I say rebrand, when people hear that word, they think that it's just, oh, my page on LinkedIn and my resume. No, rebrand also means how you talk about what you do, right? How you share your ideas, right? How you show up in your expertise. How is it that when you are sharing results and your successes and in your ideas, what way do you frame those, right? That is also you having to rebrand yourself. So sometimes people would just think about the resume and LinkedIn and not thinking, no. This, you got to rebrand this. You have to retrain how you think about your expertise. And a lot of times it's hard to make that shift, especially when you're going from like manager to like director. That's a very hard shift for a lot of people to make, because now it's just not about team and all these extra small little details. But now going from that to director is a huge mental shift, right? Because you're having to use your expertise in a way that may not be as hands-on. You are having to like be more strategic than having to like do, meaning that you have to use your mind a little bit more than trying to use you having to be involved more, right? Because again, it's not about you being hands-on, right? It's about how should you think, and are you aware of even how to share the ideas that you have, right? Are you even a place to where you can also lead other leaders, right? And then the next big shift, which I think the probably like the most rebrand you have to do is when you're wanting to move into VP roles. That's a huge rebrand, right? Because that even has to expound. So I'm yeah. Anyway, so when you're thinking about advancing, again, don't just think about what's the job. Don't just think about the pay, but think about every time you make a move, every time you advance in your career, you got to rebrand yourself. Now, it does depend on what you are wanting to go for, how in depth that rebrand will be, but there needs to be a tweak, a shift. Something needs to change. And if you have been trying to advance and you've not seen the results and you're not thinking about your brand, what that needs to be, what is it that you want people to think about and feel when they're around you, that's probably the reason why you haven't gotten the results that you should be. Because it's like you are trying to present something old. When I say old, doesn't mean it's bad, but you are trying to present yourself to solve a level of problem that you don't even know, right? When I say no, like you don't know how to share your experiences and your results in a way that's going to align with this new role. And so I want you to think about, like, what does that rebrand need to look like for you, right? A lot of times with that, and I'm gonna go back to it, it's about those people skills too. Also thinking about that. How is it that I need to deal with the people now? And it doesn't mean that you all of a sudden like you brand new with people, right? But it's like, okay, what is the goal that I'm wanting to move them to, right? How is it that I'm wanting to influence them? Because when you are, because when you are going from, a manager, you wanted to advance to the next position, how you influence somebody as a manager is completely different than how you influence somebody as a director. How you influence somebody as a director is completely different how you influence somebody as a VP, right? And I do want to say that a lot of that rebrand does need to happen up here, because I know that when it comes to mindset, people think that stuff is fluffy. Like, oh, okay, yeah. No, it's not. It's core. It's the foundation, because everything starts up here, because your thoughts are going to decide what actions that you take. And so if your thoughts are not coming from a good place, your actions won't be. Like you it's like you cannot, how can I put it? It's like you can't outdo this. Like you can't outwork this. You can't, you have to get this right. And then once you get this right, everything else won't seem as much as a struggle for you anymore, because everything, like all of your actions, all of your steps are coming from the right place, right? They are allowed to even come from a sure place, right? So that's what I want you guys to think about. So I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this live stream up. I've been on here for about an hour with you guys. I hope you guys enjoy this live stream and share on this live stream, because you guys know not only you need to hear this live stream, but also your friends and anybody else needs to hear this, because I don't want y'all going into 2024 spending time on the wrong things. And if you want to book a strategy call with me to get ready for 2024, to go in with a step-by-step plan, being able to remove all of the guesswork out of this, drop the right strategy, I will send you a DM. Okay, so do we have any questions, y'all? Any questions? I'm gonna give y'all about 15 seconds because I know that there is a lag. Oh, thank you, Joy. Thank you. Any questions before I go? Also, if you want to stay in the know with me, make sure that you guys do join my email tribe. You can go to careertea.me, careertea.me. Okay, Miss Kiva, I will send you the link. It's careertea.me, and stay in the know. I also do have a podcast, y'all, that drops episodes every week. So my podcast is Career Revamp. Okay. So if you guys don't have any questions, I will let you enjoy the rest of, hold on, let me see something. Okay. I'll let you guys enjoy the rest of your day. You guys have a great weekend.